Get it out of your system.
All right. Uh-oh, they're calling. Just click accept and answer.
Hello.
Hello. I think I'm live.
It's 14.
It's looking a little different than last week, so we'll see how this goes. And there is, I do apologize in advance if there's a little different background noise than usual. Beyond the bird, there's a workman here. In the trials and tribulations of owning a house, I have no hot water. So the workman is arriving as we speak. So I do apologize if there's a little more background noise than usual. And we'll make it work. So anyway, today is May the 4th. So it is honorary Star Wars Day in the joke of May the 4th be with you. As in May the Force be with you. So in honor of that today, I have a Star Wars craft prepared that we're going to do together. That is very easy. It's much like the previous crafts we've done. It is a craft that is very easy to do with things that you have around the house. We're going to basically be using a toilet paper roll. We're going to be using, do I have some thicker ones? Maybe not. I do have some thicker ones. We're going to be using Popsicle Sticks. I happen to have, thanks to our head of circulation, Megan, two of the thicker ones, which is what I'm going to use, but the thinner ones work. What you can also do, and I meant to have cardboard here and I do not, but any sort of cardstock or thin cardboard, you can cut to basically these shapes and do the exact same thing. It'll work exactly the same way. The only thing that might change is the depth of your holes that you're going to put in your thing to make it look like an X-Wing. So we're going to start with basically the hardest part of this craft right off the bat. Oh, wait, before we get started, almost forgot. I needed to show, this is my finished owl from last week's bird craft. His little feet. I didn't paint him. You guys know I do enjoy painting. But what I did instead was I Sharpied him. So that he kind of has a feathering pattern. His face is merely brown. His body is a combination of brown, bronze, silver, and black. And then his feet are like a peach, and his nose is an orange. So yeah, he came out really cute. I'm very proud of him. So you can finish him off that way. You can paint him. I just decided I wanted a little bit more of a feathery look, and I can't do that with paints. So I did it with Sharpies. Also, just an example we had, if you're interested, we'll probably be having more. We did a virtual bad art the other day. This is what I made. I made this little droid robot creature with a little helmet. He's a little angry guy. And I had no plan. This was not anything specific. Kind of the point of bad art is you take what you have lying around and you make something with it. So he's egg carton legs, toilet paper tube, egg carton hat, and his little camo, which is already coming off. So that's what we've been getting up to. So now let's get back to today's craft. So yeah, the hardest part, and I think I can, just by the way, I think I can see comments, so feel free to comment. As I said, it looks a little different again than it did, there we go, than it did the other week. So still trying to figure out this new Facebook Live. So you're going to take your toilet paper roll, and the first thing you want to do is at one end, whichever end you want, you're going to put some slits in it. You can do this with, you can do it with dull scissors. The sharpest pair of scissors you have, if you have an X-Acto knife, if you have a box cutter, any of those things will work. And you're gonna stagger them a little bit. So I'm gonna I have a very sharp little pair of scissors here, so I'm gonna stab a hole here. Kinda. Gotta make sure I make it long enough for my extra long things. I'm gonna actually switch now that I've made the hole. I do have an X-Acto knife, so we're gonna cut it a little bit. And again, if you're using cardboard, you're gonna just have to maybe make your holes a little thicker. Cut them a little wider. Okay, so that's working. I'm gonna put one there. So I have one here, and then I'm gonna put one kind of here. And don't worry, I will show you. He's giving me a little bit of trouble. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Let's see if he fits in. Yeah. All right. So you don't want them complete. You want them a little staggered because they're going to come out at angles. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both of these in here at my angles and use that to find my general other end where they're going to stick through. I want them to be about even. As I said, I apologize for any. I know what I can hear. I don't know what you guys can hear, so if there is background noise, I apologize for it. We're gonna jam him through here. Got him a little. Oh, I got the other one in the way. That's part of my problem. Did not cut this. Ooh, not quite wide enough. I think that's my problem. You can cut a little extra wide. It's not going to make a big deal. All right, so that one goes through here. And basically, once you've punctured them both through, I'm going to do this down on my lap. I apologize, but because of the integrity of my toilet paper roll, that's how I have to do it. So I'm going to get that one through. Yeah, so I will say that it backfired a little bit doing the X-Acto knife because it makes such a thin cut. But here is what you want it to look like. So that's your little X-Wing wings and your front. So you got your little X-Wing wings. It also looks like all sorts of different kinds of critters. So yeah, so there's your wings. I think I haven't quite, they're not quite even. The next thing you want to do is, again, take your scissors or your X-Acto knife or whatever you are using, and you're going to cut out of the top about halfway a square. So your square wants to be centered about halfway, maybe a little towards the back. It depends on where exactly you put your wings. So I'm going to do that. And again, I got to do it out of frame because I forgot my box today. Actually, I think I have it. Hold on, let's see if I can get to it real easily enough. My lovely Swiffer box that I use when I want to lift things up so you guys can see it. So, there we go. Usually I cover it so you don't actually, I'm not a walking advertisement for Swiffer, but since I forgot my box today, you guys get a walking advertisement for Swiffer. Lucky you. All right, so I'm going to cut. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. You know, you don't need to draw it on ahead of time. It's basically, it's your cockpit for your starfighter. Oh, you know what I really should have had? I should have had a picture of an X-Wing for those of you who aren't Star Wars nerds. You know, I bet I can do that in a minute. But basically, if you've ever seen Star Wars at all, even if you were just a casual fan, you'd probably recognize the X-Wing as the weapon or the fighter that in the original trilogy is the one that Luke flies, that has the wings that open and they look like X's. I'm actually kind of surprised, knowing my household, that there isn't an X-Wing convenient in this room, but there is not an X-Wing convenient in this room. So we'll see about. I have a bunch of other ships convenient in this room. X-Wing's not one of them. All right, so I've cut my hole. I will say that just the last side you do, which for this one you can see is a little bumpier on mine. It's hi Afra. Yeah, it's not super pretty. In fact, I'm gonna make this hole a tiny bit bigger. I feel like I'm not quite, but that last side is a little rough because there's nothing supporting it. So your best bet, I'm using these X-Acto knives, but what I should switch to is my scissors, because then you can just chop off, you know, the flap all the way around. There we go. That worked so much better. All right, so there's my cockpit. As far as what you put in your cockpit, you can do any number of things. You can put nothing in your cockpit. If you have any little figurine, even if it's not a person, yes, Afra, or a pilot or anything, you can make one. Like, I think, actually, here's my little cork person. She's a little short, but you could put her little thing underneath, or put some, like, clay on her bottom, or another cork. You know, she would fit. So any number of things would work, or you can just leave it empty. So now what I'm going to do is, okay, so I'm done with my cutting. So I can put my 18 pairs of scissors and sharp things away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint, I'm going to pull these out now that I know that they fit. And I'm going to paint them. So X-Wings, at least original X-Wings, well, there's a lot of colors. You can paint them any color you want. I'm going to actually go for the original kind of color scheme, which was white X-Wings with red highlights. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to pour a bunch of white out. Afra, what you doing? How's it going? Do you like Star Wars too? She likes Star Wars because Star Wars involves a lot of death and destruction, and that is her kind of jam. She likes things that blow up and get destroyed, and so she likes Star Wars because she likes the space battles and stuff. That is Afra's jam when it comes to these kind of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking my popsicle sticks out, and I'm painting them white. I'm actually using a big brush for once, because this big brush allows me to paint the entire popsicle stick at once. So I'm going to move my finger and paint there. And I'm going to very gingerly. Now, if you're not on a time crunch, which I am, because I try and pretty much complete my crafts in the time that I am on with you guys, I'm going to just hold it here and paint the other side. I'll probably touch these up later if they don't glue into the inside of my X-Wing and never come out. I'm going to paint my fingers because that's what I do. I'm going to slide that. Oh, hold on, let me make sure. I am following a set of instructions. I will, yeah, I will definitely, don't worry, I will send the instructions too if my walkthrough's not enough. So my one problem here is that as I push this through, you fit before, friend, is that now he's sticky. So maybe I should have left him in here and painted him. Let's see if I can scooch him. Yeah, so actually what I would do, this is what I get for actually following directions on something, is I would leave them in there and just paint the whole thing, because if the inside section's not white, no one's gonna care. It's kind of like the inside of the dinosaurs we made a few weeks ago, and like if they weren't the color of the rest of it, it looked fine. And I think this is going to be one of those. So for my second piece that I haven't painted the back of, I'm going to slip him right through now while he's still, and that's going to make it easier to get him in. All right, so there's the white. I'm going to paint the back now. I need a little more white paint. And then I'm going to paint the whole, I need a lot more white paint actually. I'm going to paint the whole tube, the whole toilet paper tube, white as well. So I'm going to paint this, and you can basically reach inside and paint what you need to inside. This paint is very watery. I was a little worried it was going to be goopy because we had a goopy white paint. I wanted to make sure this wasn't the one, and instead it is a very watery white paint. So it's okay though, works the same way. So yeah, I'm going to just paint the whole kit and caboodle white. And we're just going to paint. And again, it doesn't need to be, especially with toilet paper rolls, as we've learned before, they just suck it right up. So you don't have to, it's not like some of the things we've done where you needed like primer levels and stuff. For this, one round's gonna probably be enough. But you do want to make sure you get all of the obvious brown. you go. I've already painted myself white today, so I'm not going to worry too much about painting my fingers, because, as I said, I've already basically painted myself white. So I'll show you my lovely fingers once I have gotten my coat on here. We can see. There we go. I probably should not be using the same paint plate every single time, because honestly, it's starting to get really messy. And I'm going to start screwing myself up here, mixing unintentional paints. All right. All right, so here is my little white X-Wing. It looks best from front on, even though it kind of looks like some sort of weird mouth. You almost need to like just cover up this little bit. There's my little X-Wing. And now basically what we're going to do is paint accents on it in red, which I need to let it dry for a minute because it's still damp places. And also here are my lovely white fingers. And yeah, I do have, thanks to a special delivery, this one up in the corner here. I mean, it's the whole page, but the view you're going to recognize is probably that one, is the X-Wing. So that's basically what we're making, but in very simplistic form, because what we have to work with is, there's the big view, is a toilet paper roll and 2 popsicle sticks. So yeah, we're not getting super sophisticated here. And yes, dinosaurs do like death and destruction, which completely explains why that is Afra's favorite thing. You're definitely not wrong. Yeah, I think the only thing I would improve on this whole design is have figured out some way to put something here. I might, before next week, like, I do have some construction paper, but even printer paper would work because it's white. And just, you know, put it down, trace a circle, cut it out, and like, I think what I would do, Scotch tape would work because it's clear, especially if you know, are okay with it. I think what I do is I do a little tape on the inside, and maybe I'll try and do that here in a minute with some of the construction paper. But I think I'm almost dry, so I already grabbed my red. So here's my red. And I'm gonna get some of my red here. Put a little red out. And I need a different brush. We'll go with my usual favorite brush, which is much smaller. This is my giant brush. This is my regular brush that I use. And I'm going to put some accent on both the wings and on the cockpit part, the main part of it. So, and I think I'm dry enough in most of the places that I'm okay with this. So we're gonna do some. Ooh, that is a very pink looking red today. I think I picked the wrong red. Oh well, that's okay. It'll be a slightly pink. I think it dries darker. So. And with this part, you know, I'm going to try and kind of add some level of symmetry. If you don't, that's okay too. One of the things about Star Wars lore is that, especially during the Rebel Alliance, is there were a lot of, like, the basic paint was the same, but a lot of them, you know, made their ships the way that they wanted them to make and added things to them and accented them. So, yeah, it's okay if yours doesn't look 100% the same on both sides. And mine never will, because I am very bad at that kind of thing. But it looks close enough. You know, so. And then maybe we'll do a big racing stripe down the side from the front. Usually they had a so I have one on that side, and then I'm going to turn it around, and you guys can look at that one while I put it on the other side. How close did I do? Pretty close. All right, so now there's the other side. So I've got my two kind of racing stripes, and then I think I'm just going to put maybe some little piece here. Kind of, I mean, I would definitely, if you want it fairly accurate, everything should be kind of squared and lines. They didn't have a lot of like circle designs. But again, it's your X-Wing. Design it however you want. No one cares. They're all going to look great. So I'm going to put two little squares on that side. And we're going to match them on this side. Well, I'm not, you know what? I'm not going to match those. I'm going to do these the other side a little different. Do my big one on that side. And maybe a little, and a little like lines like that on that side. So yeah, that is our X-Wing. And yeah, so I mean, you can do other colors. If you still want to be, you know, accurate to the movies, a lot of them, instead of the red accents, have blue accents with the white. In the new movies, one of the characters has a black X-Wing with orange highlights, which if I make another one, I will probably do that because I also really like his. I think in the newest movie, it's like mostly orange with a little bit of white. So play with your colors. Whatever are your favorite colors, you know, make them. If you're like high school or your elementary school or your college, your alma mater, you know, that you're an alumni of has a certain color scheme and you want to make it that way, go for it. You will, yeah. So, and then I just grabbed, we have some little Legos from the Mandalorian show, and he's gonna be my little pilot. Except not yet because I don't want to get a painty, but he would be my little pilot in my little ship. He's also too short, just like my cork person, so I really need somebody slightly bigger. The example that they show is actually one of like the standard size action figures, basically sitting down in it. But I don't want them to get painty either, and I don't really have any. I think the one I have is actually at the library, not here. So we're gonna go. So yeah, it's still drying in a few places, especially on these. And actually, I need to put a little white. At the end here. I must have been where my finger was. So let me see, since we got a couple minutes, let me just see if I can figure out. Let me do construction paper. That's a little hardier than printer paper. I'm not even sure that is construction paper, even though it was sitting with the construction paper. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do this. And I put my pen over here. And I'm going to trace let's just see. Now we're really just experimenting. I'm going to trace our circle. Okay, we're going to trace our circle. I'll put him down over here on my paint plate because he traced it in all the wrong places if I want to use this paper again, but that's okay. I'm going to cut it out as rounded and as on the line as I possibly can. Let's see. It involves a lot of my concentration because cutting circles is not my forte. Okay. All right, and then I have tape somewhere on this table, right here. I'm going to grab the tape, and I'm going to use Scotch tape because that's what I have. And I'm going to just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece, I'm going to put it on, like you put a normal piece. I'm actually going to put two on. Put one there. You can do one long piece. I'm going to do two because I'm thinking this through in my brain as I work. So it's going to look like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape on the ends, the tape up to the top of the inside. So like that. And then I'm going to I'm going to reach into my cockpit and try and do the other one. Let's see how well this works. Probably not well, because, all right, hold on, not perfect. Let's try that one more time. All right, it's not perfect. You can see at the end, but from the front, especially if I put some red on it, let me paint a little red on there. Let's actually just what we'll do is we'll like continue my racing stripes here, kind of to the nose, and maybe a little like, yeah, I think that's all I need. Well, now it just looks like a pig. But it's a continuation, you can see, of the racing stripes. So yeah, that might work. I think it looks better than having the opening where you can't see it. I might fiddle with that, see if I can come up with something better before next week, and if I do, I will pass it along. But that's the right idea. I'm on the right track for sure. But as I said, you can kind of see. Or I mean, what you can also always do, like I ended up doing with the dinosaurs, is you just reach inside there with a brush and you paint the whole thing. So when you look down the nose of the fighter, yeah, you're seeing into it, so you are seeing some. Let me take this off now so that you guys can see. You are seeing some air at the other end, but all of this part will be white. And it should be pretty easy to do because you should be able to reach in this end. You certainly can do the back end, and then you can also use this hole to reach into the center part. So I suspect that wouldn't be too hard. So I might try that too, see what it looks like, and figure out what I like best. But yeah, that's our May the 4th craft for everyone. It's our little X-Wing fighters. I hope you enjoyed. Next week, I am doing paper plate dinosaurs. So we're going to take paper plates. Any kind works. The really cheap ones work the best, but again, any of them work. You need paper plates, taper glue, or staples, but probably taper glue. You can have something to color it with if you don't want a white dinosaur. Definitely scissors. And again, something, construction paper or printer paper, because there's a little bit you need for the tail, even though most of it comes out of the paper plate So, and I don't have any cheap paper plates, so you will see it be made with, he's going to have flower decorations on him, because that is all I own. So yeah, that's what we're going to do next week for our craft. And I will continue to see you every Monday until the library reopens. Thanks for watching.